Hey there, everyone. DJ here, and I just wanted to let you know that for the foreseeable future, we are going to be dropping down to every other week for the main episodes of One Shots Tavern. Andrew and I are both extremely busy in our day to day lives at the moment. Both of us are publishing, both of us are writing. Andrew has taken on a YouTube channel that he's doing, and of course, I have my games for hire. But hopefully this means that you're going to get better quality episodes and interviews. And so anyway, without further ado, enjoy the rest of the show. I'm DJ.
And I'm Andrew.
Welcome to One Shots Tavern,
a TTRPG podcast where we seek out new ways to tell your stories through different systems and games. And today, just to be real, DJ and I have not talked much, at least in the last 2 weeks. If not out, it's been like a month since we've really connected much.
Yeah, without, there being a third person between us, or
we're just talking about, because I'm doing the design and layout on Pink Security and more, and so it's like we'll get on a call and we're just talking about that. And so yeah, a lot has happened, at least for me, in the last month. So let me catch you up. So yeah, you listeners are getting some catch up on me. But so is DJ. Some of this is going to be new for him. I had my first viral TikTok. It was the dumbest one ever, and it was very fun. It was just basically I was in Meyer. They were doing some remodeling. There was a huge section that was wide open, and I was like, is it just me or the video games that I've played, or am I in a boss room, or like a boss arena?
Yeah.
And people liked it and stuff. But what that meant is TikTok's algorithm started to actually start favoring my account. And my normal content started to do just like 20% better. And then one morning, so that part doesn't matter. I don't care about going viral, right? But like I care about reaching my audience and actually building a community. And I made one, which you saw one morning. This is now, I guess, almost 4 weeks ago, where I was like, I miss Monday morning stand-up meetings at work, and I miss the formal, like, structure and accountability of like, what did I work on last week? What am I working on this week? And what are like pain points that I am experiencing, and advice from the group. And that's like it's like a tech space kind of thing that's very common in a lot of offices. And now that I'm full-time in doing this, whatever this is, content creation, game author, small business, shipping, fulfillment, who knows, whatever it is called. But like now that I'm doing that, I was like, I need this structure. I made a video about it, and a bunch of people were like, yo, me too. So that day I was like, all right, I'm gonna post up in Titterpig. Anybody that saw my video that sees me in here will know. And then we hung out and we did it. It's been this coming Monday that this episode's coming out will be the 4th time that we've done it. Last week there was like over 16-ish people at our peak, and we were in 2 separate VCs because it was already so many. But why do I bring that up? It has been an insanely helpful tool for me, not just for the discipline of like talking to people in the morning and like getting a week started right, but like practically when it comes to learning. We're already starting to do some workshops, and we've talked about a lot of tricky issues like AI in the space, and other things that happen in the community, and it's been really cool to like look at all the shared resources that are getting pulled together and shared knowledge. And I've probably had like 5 or 6 one-on-one meetings stretch out of just that Discord that got stood up. Listeners, unfortunately, I'm not just like sending the Discord out to anybody. You can join our One Shots Discord and whatnot, but if you are a game creator and you find me in our Discord, shoot me a message if you're interested and we can chat. But
for the low price of $19.99 a month.
But the idea is I'm already like so protective of it, right? Like,
no, absolutely.
I'm very nervous because it's like I've got some amazing industry people in there that I respect, and I want it to be a good space for them to find resources and as well as share them and meet people on the same level.
I mean, we have the coolest freaking friends. I've been doing this for a year now. fairly close to a year, because I remember I was house sitting at a friend's when I first, like, changed to One Shots Tavern on the TikTok handle, and, I mean, we're at nearly 4,000 followers on TikTok. Um, in that time, the best followers that we have gotten has been the people that are joining that server.
Yeah.
Because, like, they become such good friends, and
Yeah.
they all have expertise that, you and I didn't have coming into this space. We knew how
Fake
to
it
play
till you make
games,
it.
and we wanted to, make games, right? And, that was just about it, and even during our Kickstarter,
Yeah.
this group of people that you are now doing these Monday morning meetings with were the people who were instrumental in helping me to navigate what it means to make a game and to have a Kickstarter be successful
Yeah.
and what to do with it and all of that fun stuff.
Well, it's like
So that's
Jack
been really
Panic
cool.
was my first backer on Battle School.
Yeah, I
I
think
didn't know
Jack
who
was
Jack
also my first
was.
backer.
I
Yeah.
messaged Jack and I was like, "Yo, thank you so much for backing. You were the first person to throw $5 at me. This is amazing." And now it's like I talk to Jack every other day.
Hmm.
Like that's why I love the internet, man. Like the internet
Yeah.
is a cesspool in a lot of spaces, but like I have found so much cool community here and like in the creator space.
Hmm.
Like I think I mentioned it earlier, like there's a pain point for a lot of people that want to make games that they're like, and I talked about it pretty openly in our group of just like there's a lot of people that want to make games and they're like, I can't do art on the level that I want to. I can't afford
Hmm.
to pay an artist. Maybe I'll just use some AI. And we don't need to make this an AI episode. But like we were able to, with a lot of empathy and nuance, actually have that conversation with some people in that boat. And it was a
Yeah.
really healthy conversation that I am grateful that was able to be had with a lot of professionals that in the when you're on
Right.
the internet talking about that kind of stuff and you need to have fairly hardline stances on things like that as a creator in the space, it's nice to also be able to talk to people like they're humans and
Right.
just be understanding like, hey, I understand where you're coming from, but there are options and we can help you through that, rather than you're a bad person because you thought, ooh, this would be a nice little shortcut. Like,
And being able to do that outside of the social media bubble
yeah,
where everything is content. And that's one of the biggest problems with trying to, like,
as we
talk to
record our
anyone
catch up.
about anything, where everybody wants to make their response entertaining
Yeah.
and provocative and content. And in this space that you have created with, a bunch of other professionals and, semi-professionals in the space, you can instead sit there and someone can say, I don't understand the viewpoint on AI. And people are not
Yeah.
going to be jerks, right? Instead, they're going to be like, hey, so this
Yeah.
is how it goes. This is, you know, where we stand on it. And it's
Yeah.
nice to have that level of support and, respect, because respect is missing in so many places.
I
uh,
I made a video about it. There is something truly actually healthy. I'm sure there's some psychology on this, so I'm not going to pretend like I made this up, but it recently clicked in my head, right? It is
Mhm.
entirely healthy for you as a human, because I'm looking at my kids doing this, right? As a human, to look at the complex world around you and to reduce it down into its simplest parts so that you can make sense of it. AKA make everything black and white, right? Like right and wrong, everything is clear cut.
Yeah.
That is a natural response to be able to make sense of this messy world. The part that's not the natural response but is required of being a human in a world with other people and community is introducing again the complexity through nuance and
Mhm.
empathy, right? Like you can't just reduce the world down to black and white and say this is how it is all the time, no matter what, everything's black and white. Are there issues where that is different? Yes, just bear with me, right? Understand at the end of the day, you have to have empathy for your fellow man and try and have a conversation with them. And
Yeah.
I'm just glad that that can happen with complicated subjects. And then also the same conversations are happening where it's just like, hey, not only do I understand where you're coming from, And like with respect to AI, it's like I understand where you're coming from, but also can I help you?
Right.
Like that is my favorite part because people are connecting and collaborating and growing and learning and then stretching into things like art that they maybe never felt like they could do.
Yeah.
Um I I just yeah, I've been floored by how much awesome has come out of that already. So, yeah, that's been a
Oh no.
big thing the
Yeah.
last few weeks for me.
So here's the thing, like I joined the first meeting, and of course like I've done some of the like co-work space
Yeah.
stuff, and it's just nice to have like, people to bounce ideas off of. One of our mutuals was in there. You'd be like, "Hey, what do you think about this design?"
Yeah.
And it was great. But you were able to provide feedback in order to like, make it visually more appealing. I do want to give Sadie a shout out
Oh, yeah.
because Sadie is currently working on Fortune Favors Dice. It is You can find the save this link on Backerkit, and
Let
she's
me jump
working
on that real
super
quick.
hard on
I'm
this. Yes.
obsessed with this system because her and she's one of the people that I've been able to connect really well with after kind of starting this up. She commented early on. I was like, yeah, jump in here. And I'd seen her around. I saw her at the Start Playing Games party, like at
Yep.
Gen Con. And like, I was like, I know her from the internet. But like, we've actually connected. And like, I talked to her a little bit about her system and what she wants to do with it. But let me just pitch you on the system right now because I think that you should go check out her backer kit right now.
Yeah.
Um, because I love it. It is super simple. There's essentially Fortune Favors Dice features like three. It's the generic system for you to then apply to whatever you want. But even Fortune Favors Sort, which is the first one that she came out with, it's more fantasy focused. It's a one-page RPG, right? It's very straightforward. You can get in it really quick. So I'm going to explain it to you. Basically, you got three stats. In Fortune Favors Dice, they boil it down to push forward, I think like hold back, or change the paradigm. So think of it like strength, defense, magic, right? Like it's kind of those three stats, and they are either a D6, a D8, or a D10, I believe. And then so you can pick that when you make your character, and then when you are rolling, what you want to get is you want to get at least a 15, which I'll explain how you get there, and at most I think it's an 18. So hopefully I got the numbers right there. But basically, how do you get there? You can just roll your dice as many times as you want, and you're just adding it to itself. So you just keep rolling. So a smaller dice like a D4 is gonna be way more like malleable to like get you
Hmm.
there without like breaking and going over the 18 or under the 15, because once you stop, like you've essentially you busted, like you're
Yep.
done. um and so that's it. Like it's a very like push your luck kind of system, and it's very elegant. What she's planning on doing with it for her backer kit is very exciting. I'm not going to spoil her exciting secrets there, but please go check out her backer kit right
Yes.
now and follow the project. It's not, I don't know the launch date yet, but you will include the link in our show notes. But like that was so
Yeah.
much fun to talk to her about. She's like, "Hey, I haven't done crowdfunding before. Any advice?" And so like me and a couple other people were able to like chime in, give some advice, just practical, like, hey, yeah, go into Backerkit, poke around, and you can message them and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's
Yep.
it's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
and what else? So the other big stuff for me has been both through that group and just the natural progression. I'm getting ready to do fulfillment on Battle School, which there's not a whole lot of sexy to talk about with that. But for those of you that backed and are waiting on a physical copy, it's not too far away now. I'm still waiting on the deck to come back as a prototype to make
Oh
sure I
yeah.
can
That's right.
QA that. But like I've got my label printer, I've got packaging stuff coming in the mail and everything. So it'll be a nice party once the stuff comes in and I'm ready to ship. But I could ship as soon as I get all my books in. I'm able to basically start shipping right away. So that was exciting. And then I did the thing the last few weeks that you're not supposed to do when you have something to do. And that's something I had to do was work on DJ's book. And the thing that I wanted to do was make 4 other games. And
Yeah.
and so, like, I had to, like, oscillate each day between, like, I'm gonna bang out a couple hours of layout on pink security, and then I'm gonna work on these crazy ideas. And, yeah, I won't go into all of them because 'cause that'll be the whole freaking episode, but, like, it was just, like, I don't know if I can call it executive dysfunction or not, but, like, it was definitely, like, one of those things, like, I'd pull up my InDesign file and I'd be like, brain doesn't want to today."
Yeah.
Like, just fully, like, full stop, couldn't do it, and then I'd, like, go clean the whole house. I've had some good days, DJ. The book is looking good. I don't know if you've been able to poke through yet, but,
I not since you sent me the link, but
okay,
I
cool.
mean, what I've seen has been really good. I'm very excited about that. Same goes for everything that Andrew said about Battle School. Pink Security is not far behind.
Yeah.
And once that's out, I'll make sure to send an update.
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
but yeah,
It's just funny, like, my wife's been going through the process of getting her, diagnoses figured out, and I'm like, "Man, maybe I'm not far behind because I keep running into those things that I'm like, "That's how people with ADHD describe that," and maybe I do have maybe a bit of the tism. My sister got me it's very chuggy, but she got me a hat that says "undiagnosed, but I'm pretty sure." Um,
Amber wanted to buy that, but
yeah.
I'm diagnosed, so
Yeah,
I.
I guess I can wear it for a little bit. But,
But yeah,
yeah, I don't know, like, it's interesting because now I'm really, like, with the kids doing school, I have so much more time to actually do the business work
yeah.
every single day, and, then I just get to run into the barrier of me as my own limitations, and then burnout, and feeling
Yeah,
like I am getting to do the dream thing and then not feeling the serotonin kicking in.
and then existential dread.
Yeah, usually that's right after the
Right
fact that I'm
before.
still not making money because life kicks in, but,
Yeah.
I
No, I totally understand where you're coming from with that. I mean, you send me updates where it's just super simple, like, "Hey, can you write a description here?" And I'm just like, "I don't wanna get out of bed." To be fair,
you can do it on your
I've been
phone.
sick for the past 2 weeks. So, part of that is just my brain doesn't wanna work. But at the same time, it's just like, "Oh, no."
Yeah.
And then I do it. It takes me, like, 10 minutes to knock out all of
Yep.
the suggestions, right? But it's just getting started, which, of course, are starting to experience. Once you get started, hard to stop unless something interrupts you,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then all of a sudden you can't get back in the mindset,
Yeah.
which I imagine is a pain as a parent. But uh,
I was holding back. Don't do the parent thing. Don't immediately throw the parent card, Andrew.
listen,
Yeah, I
I have a
agree.
cat that will distract me, and it'll throw my entire day off. Let alone two children.
Yeah.
So you're doing a good job. You're managing well, and you're getting work done.
Oh, okay. I
I-
wanna tell you about this. This was a
yeah.
fun again, in lieu of how many extra project my brain was ready to come up with instead of doing what I needed to do. So a little while back, like, maybe like a month and a half ago, or, my son and I, we worked on a game together. So there's a like a dice game that you and I have played before. We played it at Gen Con, called Spots. And like you roll dice and you like place them in locations on cards and you try to fill cards and boom you win. It's very very straightforward kind of board game dice game. But
Mhm.
my son is incredibly good at it, and he's 5, like he's a kid, and he's also very upset. He has chosen to adopt my obsession with Mega Man games. And so him and I made a board game using some of those mechanics. And like I prototyped up some cards and printed them off. Um, but it's all like we call it boss rush right now.
Mhm.
And so it's like you are trying to, if you're not familiar, listeners or DJ, with the Mega Man format, is at least in like the X games, you're wanting to go through all these levels. Yes, you want to beat the bosses, get their power, but you're also looking for these like armor upgrade pieces for your legs, your arms, your chest, and your head. And then you've got your ultimate armor and you kick more butt, and then you've got powers and you beat the bosses. So what we did was we made all of the cards for spots, right?
Mhm.
Like the different armor pieces, and then when you place the dice on them, you unlocked an ability that comes with that armor piece, like you do in the video game, right?
Right.
Um, However, we're not running around in a platformer. So how do you play the game? Well, you go on a run like you would in a roguelike game where you're trying to go through a grid of randomly placed bosses. And the way you beat a boss is like you roll a 6 on a single d6. There's ways to change that. I won't get into all of it. Long story short, we made a whole freaking roguelike like dice game.
Yeah.
Me and my 5-year-old and like TS who makes comics,
Yep.
a friend on
T.S.
TikTok.
Luther on TikTok.
Yeah, go check him out. This is the friend shout out episode. Made a video about how his daughter started writing a comic and started showing him, and like he wants to help her develop it. And I responded and talked a little bit about this game, and it's just like there's something so cool about being a parent and your kid starting to love something that you love and then wanting to do it with them. And so here's the crazy idea. So the crazy idea is I never grew up with having much of savings or anything at all, right? And I don't really have tons of money to like throw into a CD or something for my kid right now. But what I could do is make a Kickstarter with the game that he helped develop and then put all the profit into a CD for it.
Right.
And so that's the idea right now. I don't know when or if I'll do it, but like that would be so fun. Like pay for all the fulfillment, all my labor would be free. Like I'm not going to take a dollar from it, right? It's just going to be paying for costs of the actual
Right.
product to make the game and get it out there, and just like boom, there goes maybe it's a grand, maybe it's 500 bucks that gets thrown
Right.
into a savings account, but that's more than I had when
Still.
I started
Yeah.
out.
Absolutely. Yep.
But yeah, just
Uh,
just another random idea that I had when I was avoiding what I needed to do.
that's when all the best ideas come to you. What's worse is like when you don't have the ability to write them down,
Yeah.
because like you're driving, uh, which is when all the best ideas come to me. That's the worst. But yeah, no. I think that's a fantastic idea. The whole boss rush thing is it's a quick, easy like gameplay,
Yeah.
right? You played or you ran nah, you don't really run spots, but
Whatever, we
we
played it.
played it at Gen Con,
Yeah.
and it was so much fun. It was easy, it was quick, and, you get through it really fast, and then you can play it again,
Yeah.
um, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of Gen Con, PAX Unplugged is coming
Oh,
up
yeah.
rapidly.
Yeah, that's
Um,
crazy, dude.
it's, well, let's see. At the time of recording this, we are
Oh my god, we're like a
2
month
months
out.
away.
Wait, 2? Oh,
Yeah,
wait, yes.
December,
My
December.
wife, if she's listening to this, is gonna be laughing so hard. There's this joke that I forget about October.
Yeah.
That's a joke. That is a joke in our family because I forget about October. I love
October, what's that?
Halloween.
That is October, though. It's
Yeah,
just that
that's it. It's
day,
just
and
one day.
then you move on. The rest of October doesn't exist.
Yeah, so 2
Absolutely.
months, okay, so 2
2
months out,
months
yeah.
away. We're gonna be doing some stuff. I'm not gonna be doing anything in, like, an official capacity, because I'm going with Amber, and we're
Yeah,
going to, enjoy as much of it as we can while making connections,
how dare you.
but you are gonna be doing some stuff.
Yeah, okay, so again, for long running listeners, so at, um,
Gen
Gen
Con
Con, we
2023.
ran into, IGDN, which is Indie Game Developers
Mm.
Network.
Yeah, yeah.
And we found their room. There was a bunch of people demoing their indie games. I'm like, what is this? This is awesome. I need to do this. I want to do this. And now I am.
Yeah.
One con later, basically.
Yep.
It's so awesome. They are very like it's a really cool group of people. Did you know that one company that kind of popped off through them was the people that made Root.
Yeah.
Um,
You were talking about this. Yeah.
yeah. Oh gosh, what are they called? I can't remember. I feel dumb. My brain's not working. It's late tonight. But but yeah, the people that made Root, like they grew up in this indie game developer. Like, okay, let me
Magpie,
explain for
by
it.
the way.
Magpie Games. Magpie Games was one of tons of other small indie developers that then go to cons and they like throw in together to get a bunch of, get a booth, get some tables, and sell their games. Nothing crazy, but the nice part is you don't have to pay $4,000
Right.
as a person who might sell 7 books, right? Maybe if you're doing really well, 30, right?
Right.
Which is kind of what they told. They're like, don't bring more than like 30 books. Like that you should be good at 30. I'm like,
Right.
sounds good.
Yeah.
But basically, like, I desperately want to go be at a table at one of these cons. I see, like, again, again, people that have listened, I look at Spencer's booth, like Spencer Campbell of Gilla RPG, who is kind of the catalyst for me to like pull the trigger and do this stuff.
Who
And I'm like,
also
I
just went
just
full time in it.
yeah. Um, but like I I'm like, I just want to go do it. I want to have a booth. I want to like I love booth design too. Like I
Yeah.
used to work on conferences. So like I
Yeah.
want to make like a cool booth. One day we'll get there. But regardless, one con later, I'm going to be able to be at a booth. So I'll be at an IGDN booth. If you're going, we're actually not going to be in the exhibit hall. We will be in the game demo area, which is awesome because unlike the exhibit hall that closes at like 6, we'll be
It
open
stays
until
open.
like 10 or freaking midnight or something.
Yeah.
So we'll have game demo tables in the booth as well as our like sales table. So like you'll be able to walk into the booth, and if you listeners have never been to PAX, which we have also never been to PAX, I'm learning this. So I'm speaking from other people's experience. And that is the thing I'm most excited about PAX is it is a different mentality than most cons. Most
Yeah.
cons, you show up and you are a consumer. You are there in a giant nerd shopping mall. Yes, you can make some connections, but you're there to buy stuff
Yeah.
and maybe play some games. Um, and all of the games you're playing for the most part are likely like scheduled games. You're registering for them in advance, you're locking in your ticket, and you're going to go play these 5 games throughout the con or whatever. Which we're terrible at doing, and we never register for anything.
Ever. Ever on time.
We did it at Chaosium, we did it at Gen Con, we
Chaosium's
did it at
small.
Grand Con. We did the point is at PAX, it comes out of the original PAX East and West and all that stuff, which was based around video games, which you
Right.
walk up to a game developer's booth that likely has not launched their game and you play the demo.
Right.
That is the mentality that people attending have. That's the booth mentality. It's way less about buying and selling games. They still sell,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's much more like, I'm going to go talk to you about your game and learn, and then I might buy it if
And
it's
it's a lot
available.
less stressful because of
Yeah.
it.
It's just
Because it
chill.
means I might get to play a game or two, which will be great. Because that's really all I look for when I go to a con. I
Yeah.
would like to play 1 or 2 games and then spend the rest of the time
And
hanging out,
you
really.
mean like a 4 hour or like 2 to 4 hour game when you
Yeah.
play 1 or
Yeah,
2
yeah.
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, short version, I will be working at the IGDN booth. And I'll be running Battle School and potentially, actually, I say potentially, I am going to be running All Worlds Fall, a world building, world ending game where you play as a high concept of civilization. You and your friends in a GM-less game. It's a GM full game. I might take that from. I learned that from Penny the other. There's games called GM full instead of GM list because everybody's
Because everybody's the game master.
actively
Yeah.
yeah, because GM list is like using like random generators
Yeah, yeah.
and like an engine to kind of run it for you. But yeah, so it's more of a GM full experience where everybody's getting in there, they're building this world together. I like to think of the game as you're sitting down with all of the other toddlers and you're building a tower together, and then by the end of you building that tower is in pieces all over the floor.
Yeah.
So you're building a world to death is the idea. And then you're casting judgment over it. Does it deserve to survive this apocalypse and become a new world, or is it oblivion? Um Art's super weird for it. I'm excited. I'm gonna be I yeah. I'm working
I'm
with a
excited to see
publisher
it.
for it.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say
Oh.
for now. But I'm working with a publisher on this game. And that's all I can say there. But it is gonna be
Yeah.
a fun game that I'm excited to demo. So please come by the IGDN booth. I don't know my booth number or anything because it's still a little ways out.
Yeah, they just announced the exhibitors, so we'll update you as we get closer to the con on where exactly Andrew will be. I'll just be roaming around
Look for
playing
a pink
games.
girl.
Yeah, look for a woman in a leather jacket, and you'll be like, "It is so warm in here. Why is she wearing a leather jacket?"
Oh, and is that a
Uh,
baseball bat?
Pink hair. Yeah, she'll have a baseball bat, foam, obviously, because we can't bring an
Darn.
actual baseball bat into the exhibitor hall.
The barbed
But
wire is gonna be real though.
here's my plan, and don't tell the authorities. Um, I plan on
What?
what a thing to
Hold
say.
on a second.
Uh, I plan on having a backpack full of pink security and more.
Oh, okay.
And so, if you hadn't bought by that point, I'm planning on, doing some underhanded deals in a back alleyway, to get it in people's hands, just because, I want people to get it. And I want people to experience the world so that you can go, "Oh man, I really like that world." And then when I, out of the blue one day, launch a Kickstarter to have the graphic novel slash everything else with it,
You'll
you'll
back
be
it.
super excited about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, my wife is gonna be going cosplayed as Polly Pink. Um, and for the most part, I'm just the plan is for me for PAX Unplugged is to be as much of a vacation as I can while networking.
Yeah.
Um, because, time, like Amber's taking off time for this,
Right.
from work, and we got like a big fancy hotel room and it's like right at the convention center,
Yeah.
which is even better. And so yeah, as far as like my life updates, there's not a ton to say other than I've been going to the gym
Yeah.
5 days a week for about 2 hours a day, uh, which has been great. I feel amazing. Um, and no, it has nothing to do with TTRPGs, but,
Yes, it
it's been
does.
kind of like
We all
a
should be
bit
going to the gym
we
more.
should all be going to the gym, absolutely. Well, I at Gen Con, like, I had started going to work out about a week or 2 it was about 2 weeks before Gen Con. And, like, even then, I was, like, the heaviest I had ever been, right? Like, and I was just like, "Oh, this is the worst." Luckily, I had been going to the gym for 2 weeks, so I was prepared for all of that
A little bit.
exercise that we were doing.
Yeah.
But then I gained, like, 5 pounds at Gen Con. Uh,
Well, we didn't eat great.
no,
Um
we did not. And it was all sodium, water weight,
Yeah.
I get it. But, yeah, I've been going to the gym and, like, lifting weights and running, like, 3 to 6 miles,
You've also been
which has been
awkwardly
great.
flexing this entire interview. No, I'm just kidding.
It's been great. For those of
Guys,
you
he
who
just
see
did it.
the video, I flexed. And yeah, so currently where I'm at is like when Andrew sends me revisions to do on Pink Security, I do those. But I've been running my games, which has been kind of my happy place
Yeah.
for a while, has just been you know, hopping in one of
Yeah.
my several how many paid games do I have right now? 7 or 8, paid games, on Start Playing Games, and, it's been really nice, because it's been like hanging out with, like, 6 of my closest friends, but they keep changing who they are every day.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and that's been kinda, like, keeping me sane, because life is stressful, and
Mhm.
I've been sick for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Um, so that's been kind of like a drag on my brain,
Totally.
trying to, process everything and stay on top of everything. Really, it's just been nice to hop into a game and like Thursday. Thursday night, they sat me down and they're like, "Hey, a lot has happened
In the
in
campaign?
in the campaign.
Okay.
Like, a ton has happened. We're going to pay you to sit down and shut up
We're
for
all
the
gonna
next 3
kit.
hours because we have some things to talk about in
Yeah.
character." And so they, like, literally, like,
Yeah?
all their characters pulled up a little, stool, and they talked about, like, "Okay, what are our goals?" Because some conflict happened and they realized, like, "Oh, you know, we got pulled in because of destiny, but now, like, we're having, like, conflicting,
Yeah.
like, character
Agendas.
goals." And so, like, they sat down and hashed that out, and I'm just like, "This is
That's
great."
awesome.
I offered some input every now and then.
Going, "Shut up, DM, we're
Their
working on stuff."
adopted former villain turned, house elf, uh, is, like, going around making cookies for them, while while they do this. Um, they were really nice to him when they shouldn't have been. They should have killed him. They chose not to, and I didn't know what to do with the character. And so, like, obviously, I was like, "Oh, well, this guy is going to
Redemption arc.
instead, like," well, I don't know about redemption. More so not allowed in that club anymore
Okay.
and therefore upset. And so they've adopted this guy that killed their friend in the desert. Um, and it's been super weird and fun. So yeah,
Yeah.
like, so see, I would get super excited when I talk about my games, right? That's where my joy has been lately, has been running these games. I've got a Curse of
Yeah.
Strahd that is supposed to be on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern time if anybody's interested. It's gonna be a fun one. So
Speaking of
uh,
start playing games,
speaking of start playing games.
so I wanna this, this is not pre-planned in terms of you and me conversing, but, so there's 2 things that have come up lately that I'm like, "Alright, I need DJ on this." One, I need to start running games. So
Yeah.
that's just a we need to keep talking about that kind of conversation because the ever-present frustration is I don't want to run 5e. Um, my
Right.
current plan, well, let's put Andrew's plan aside for a second. Um, I want to re-up your like how to be a professional dungeon master kind of ideas that you've done
Oh yeah.
before because I think they've changed. Right? Like you've said, and Jack and a couple other people are like, the climate of playing and running games on Start Playing has changed a lot just in the last
Yeah.
year.
Oh yeah.
And I want the down low, right? Because
Yeah.
now that I'm gonna be doing it, because I need income and I want to run games more often, um, I wanna get that download, but I also know a lot of other people are in the same boat. And like, you bring up all the time that this job is the job that will work for you, not just because of, "Ooh, it's games and it's fun," but, like, this is what
Yeah.
you need, and, like, in a lot of ways, I've learned through freelance, with agencies and working in-house places that I have a lot of workplace trauma,
Yeah.
and, like, I have a lot of um, just had a lot of bad experiences, a lot of bad bosses, a lot of, horrible clients, and that's not to say I don't enjoy still doing my freelance work. It's just, like, I've had some rough situations that have made me just desperately not wanna go back into the corporate world, and that's why I'm doing this full
Well,
time.
you weren't valued as a person in those
No,
situations.
I was a
You were a
commodity.
commodity.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating thing. Whereas this is kind of an ego trip sometimes. Uh, but it's really nice because, like, sometimes people say thank you at the end of games. And I'm just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're paying me, like, you don't have to thank me for
Yeah.
running this game for you." And
Yeah.
they're like, "No, no, I feel like I really do because we had fun, and I now have 6 best friends that we do everything together with,
Yeah.
and we're gonna play in every single one of your games." I'm like, "Oh, shoot, that makes me
Yeah.
feel nice." But they value you, right?
Yeah.
They value your opinion, they value your skill set, which is not something I've ever experienced,
At work.
that wasn't lip service,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
I get it. With an
Because
agenda.
with an agenda, because, like, they always, like, underpaid and, like, never wanted to give you a raise until, like, you threatened to leave, and it's
Yep.
like, ugh. Whereas this, I'm setting my price. I'm setting my
Yeah.
boundaries. I all of that stuff is on me. And I love it. Yes, things have definitely changed just in the last 6 months as far as, like, what is working and what's not working.
Yeah.
I'm trying some new things because, like, the times that I have games are the times that I wanna have games,
Yeah.
and then the games that I'm throwing on top of that are extras, and they're not in prime time slots,
Yeah.
because I very much value my time with my wife, and,
How dare you?
wanna be present, I
Yeah.
like being married and, watching TV and all of that fun stuff. So I just, basically it's been a big strategizing
Yeah.
thing. How do
Well,
I
and
want
that's
to
kind of what
divide
I
my
wanna
time?
that's kinda what I wanna pick your brain on. Not
Yeah,
today on this episode, but in content in the future and just personally, because it's like I wanna navigate, and we don't need to get into these, but, like, how are people dealing with the 5/5.5 problem on Start Playing Games? That's gotta
yeah.
be a big thing, and seeing how people are strategizing,
You would be
how they
so
list
surprised.
games, and how players are
Yeah.
reacting to things. I also am curious about what the internet will definitely correct me if they think I'm wrong here, but, like, how I see, like, Mothership and Morkborg as kind of 2 really big indie players right now.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that they're drawing much away from 5e or whatever, but even like Shadow Dark, like that has a
Yeah.
huge following now.
Yep.
And I go, could I just list a
Luke
bunch of
Gygax is
games?
writing for Shadow Dark.
That's cool.
Like or Shadowrun?
Shadow
Shadow Dark.
Dark.
Shadow
Shadow
Dark,
Dark
yes.
is the OSR game.
Yeah.
Shadow Run is
Is the
the
old
cyberpunk
thing.
fantasy game.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I think my current strategy is I'm thinking I'm gonna list some mothership games,
Yeah.
Battle School, and then some probably some 5e stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my idea is basically Mothership, I can hit on the current trend of people liking the alien movies. And Mothership is good
Always
and
important.
poppin'. And then 2, Battle School, I can maybe catch the stray Ender's Game fan, but I also can market it directly to my followers on TikTok,
Yeah.
and I can market my book, and I get to play test it more and more.
Yep.
And then the 5e stuff will be people that I did then ideally convert over to another system later on.
Right. That's the goal, right? Is like you choose a short to mid level like length campaign and
Just
then
Fandelver, Fandelver.
halfway through you start to float those ideas of like,
Right.
hey, what if we play Starfinder? What if we
Yeah.
play Pathfinder? Which those are the two that I'm the most interested in running right now. That isn't Daggerheart because Daggerheart doesn't technically come out till the spring.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there are definitely games. So it was funny because like one of the reasons why I don't want to run 5e stuff is because they morally frustrate me. Just because some of the things are more morally gray doesn't mean I see them that way.
Yeah.
Right? I have a pretty strong, moral compass on that stuff, and so I get frustrated, and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
Well, of course, we went to Chaosium, and I was super excited to pick up freaking Call of Cthulhu. And then Chaosium turns around
And
like
hires
within
Mike
like
Merles,
3 weeks, hires Mike Merles,
who we
somebody
saw there, by the
who
way.
we saw there, meaning it was like he was already either working
Yeah.
there or he was talking to someone
Yeah.
about working there. And I mean, Luke Gygax was also there, but yeah,
If you don't
so
know who Merles is, you can look it up if you want, but he used to work he was instrumental on early 5e stuff. He also
yeah,
worked a lot on 4th edition on problematic dude, made a lot of bad choices and promoted a lot of bad people. So
yes.
that's the short
Yeah.
version.
And he got thrown into a closet at Dungeons and Dragons
And
until the
people thought he was
layoffs happened.
fired,
People thought
but
he
he
was
was
fired.
still
That's how
working there.
hands off he was. Like people
Yeah.
were like, "Wait." So I heard people who worked at D&D going, "Wait, Mike Merles is still here."
Yeah. But all that to say, it's like there's so much like weird,
Yeah.
messy
Yep.
stuff all over, and it's like that's why I keep going like, all right, can I guarantee the games that I'm purchasing and running are coming from good people? No.
No. Can I
But
do my best?
exactly. But
And
but
then
when
that's
I
yeah.
know they're bad, I can move to something else. And
Yep.
hey, you know what? I know tons of our listeners are 5e players. I
Yeah.
don't think you're a bad person for running 5e. I don't think you're a bad person for buying 5.5. I just don't want to do it. And yeah, so
Yeah.
all that to say, I think my strategy right now is just going to be trying to get some games going and get
Yeah.
that hamster wheel turning to the idea that, we were saying earlier, just like sometimes you just have to start. And
Yep.
I've been looking at my account on Start Playing for literally a year.
Yeah.
Just being like, I could list a game. I could, and now I need to list a game is where I'm
List a
at.
game
Like,
and do it one at a time. You list one now,
yeah,
right? With the expectation of this is going to start in a month, right? You
yeah,
let the people know who are going to be who sign up. You're like, "Hey, I want to make sure that we're going to get this going and we're going to go get this going right." Because like when you are able to like focus on one right after like filled, okay, cool. Now I can start posting the next one.
yeah.
And you just keep doing that, and then all of a sudden you turn around and you're like, "Oh, I've got a full week of games. This is amazing." The problem is, like, outside of the 5e bubble,
Bubble.
outside of the 5e bubble, you do have a little bit longer wait times
Yeah,
on some things. Right, my Cypher game is finally at 5 people, um, for Saturdays, which is great.
yeah,
Glad. That one is gonna be kind of a shorter campaign because I don't wanna do weekends forever.
yeah.
And I realized that, but, I'm gonna finish that game. It's gonna be fun. I love the players in it. It's great. Um, I don't know what I'm gonna try next.
Yeah.
I because I want to put all of my energy into learning Daggerheart because I want to understand the system, and I would like to start to
Also
convert.
marketable.
It's very marketable, and I can start to convert all of my Exandria players
Yeah, because they're already fans.
because they're already fans and they're interested in learning to play Daggerheart. And so all
Yeah,
of a sudden, it's a super easy transition. I
yeah.
can keep coming up with stories in that world. However long Critical Role goes on in the Exandria world, I can pull in all of that stuff, and it's great.
Still,
Um,
still, just still hoping for them to just fully switch to sci-fi, as a sci-fi girly at heart.
I mean, you might
That
get
would
your
be
wish, but
incredible.
it's probably still going to be in
No,
Exandria.
they're gonna do it. Yeah, no, this is their brand.
'Cause they're
Um,
working there that way,
yeah,
right? And, like, all the technological advances over the past, what, 40 years or whatever, that, in Critical Role, like, it's getting more and more technologically advanced, and now the moon's in play. So,
yeah.
I think we're gonna start seeing that stuff. But anyways, that doesn't matter.
Um,
But what does matter.
what I well, so yeah, I think that with a lot of this, and if people are still here after 45 minutes, you guys are awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you guys for
appreciate you.
listening. This podcast has been the catalyst for so much of the
Mhm.
opportunities and growth we've had in this industry, and we're having a blast. Um, that said, maybe we throw this at the beginning of the episode. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because if people don't get this far, they won't know. Um,
That's fair. Uh,
but we are having an absolute blast when it comes to doing the podcast and talking to creators and
mhm.
trying out new games and sharing with you ways that you can utilize them to tell different stories and have more fun at your tables. However, with anything that you do for a year, you start to lose some of the fun. Like we haven't really done that, but we're doing a lot now. And so we don't
Yeah,
want to burn out on something that we care a lot about. And rather than burning out and stopping it, we're just going to slightly shift our schedule to every other week.
yep,
That might be starting this week, like we might be a
yeah,
week off and then back on. What would that put us at? That would put us at this will go out on the 30th and then we'll be back on the 14th.
yeah.
Um,
Here's why too, if I can interject. Mm, Most of you probably don't know this, but almost every single episode that we have released, we have recorded within a week to like 3 days of release. To some people, that sounds like, "Oh, that seems about right." It's not normal.
no,
Most people record things out, months in advance. And, obviously
which we've done
which we've
before.
done
And
before.
It really was. We burned through our buffer quickly, and then we
Just we're
just ended
busy.
up on a week to week basis, and
Yeah.
then got busy. So I
Yep.
think what this means for you all is going to mean better episodes, higher
Quality.
quality edits that have time to be edited.
Yeah.
And it lets us queue up some really awesome people to talk with. There's if we look at like our list of the people that we have had
Mhm.
conversations about doing an episode with them and shared it with you all, you would all be very excited because there's some
Yeah.
amazing people that we're already talking
Yeah.
to. But like, I don't want to do a 3-day turnaround on an episode
No, not
for
especially
one
not
of
an
them right
important
now.
one.
No.
I mean, they're all important. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but like, here's the thing: I have been on several people's podcasts. I should probably plug all of those because I keep forgetting. I was on Stars Characters Without Stories,
Very good episode.
and I talked about like my old Gods of Appalachia character that I would love to play at some point. Check that out. I get a little heartfelt, probably more so than I should have, but when you're really comfortable with the host, that's what happens. And then I was also on Dungeons and Degrees. So Adrian was on last week. If you haven't listened to that episode, you should listen to it. It's super fun. We talk about Star Wars and stuff. Those are our friends, and we're gonna both Andrew and I will both probably be
Weren't
on
you
a
also on
bunch more.
Sam's?
I was also on Classic Sam's.
Yeah.
That yeah, because that was like right after or right before Gen Con that was
I
recorded.
think it
I
was
can't
right
even
after. It
remember.
was after.
So yeah, check out those because they're really good. But the point of me bringing those up was I was so both Star and Adrian use the same software that we use.
Mhm.
They use Squadcast to record. And I listening to Adrian's like audio mastering on that episode, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is so smooth and relaxing." And
Yeah.
like I was just like, "Whew, we like more time
Yeah.
could help us with that."
Yeah.
And it's not that our podcast sounds bad. Most people like they always tell me like, "Oh yeah, coming out the gate, like you guys sound great. Like that, we love that." Uh,
Yeah.
but I would love to increase the quality of not just the sound and like visuals of the podcast, but I would like to increase the quality of our interviews
Yeah.
with
We need to
guests
get better. Like,
and
we're really
editing
bad at talking
is
over our guests.
it's hard, and so we're getting better at it, right? That's been like in the back of my mind every time that I've done a podcast recently is just like, okay, now shut up.
Yep.
All right,
Me too.
listening. They're done. Okay, now it's my um
Now don't
because I'm
talk for
just
the
so
next 10 minutes
excited.
straight.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just so excited
Yeah.
to talk and converse with them. And, I want to make sure that you as a listener are having a good, fun, comfortable,
Yeah.
chill time with all these things. Now, will it just be the every other week? We don't know.
Nope. Probably
Um
not.
I think what will probably happen is we'll probably end up doing like every other week, and then it's like, here's a demo,
Yeah.
right?
Or it'll be
Uh
something that's timely. We've got a lot of friends that are doing
yep,
cool projects. So, like, let's say Sadie's like, I'm launching Fortune Favors the Sword. And we're like, oh, well, that doesn't fit in our 2-week schedule. Let's just launch one right now. So, like,
yeah,
that kind of stuff is gonna happen. We're just taking the pressure off of ourselves to do a weekly release, and we want you guys to know that we're not disappearing. So,
right.
we don't need to ramble anymore because it's already been a wonderfully long episode. So, thank you for sticking
Absolutely.
around. There's so much coming, guys, and we will keep
Yes.
you up to date. If you are not already following us on social media, check us out over on TikTok primarily. Oh gosh, we didn't even talk about this. I launched a YouTube, um,
Yeah.
which I've totally fallen behind on. But yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, I'll put that in there too. We gotta have a lot of show notes. If you
Yep,
click on any of them, you're amazing. If you click on all of them, you're my best friend.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
thank you guys so much.
OneShotTavern.com too.
OneShotSever.com. Have a great
Follow
evening.
us where you can. Adios, guys.